Maybe, maybe not.
Just thinking about it. What's going on with this? This is weird. Huh. I hit go live and it's just literally sitting here spinning. I don't know what's going on with this. This is weird. Yeah, it like timed out. Should I reload? Yeah, should I reload the page and see if that'll help out maybe?
Yeah, if we have to rejoin or something like just let me.
Yeah. I was gonna say, let me try it because it literally stalled out here. It's just spinning and spinning. I've never seen it do that. Having trouble connecting, please check your internet connection, it says. Okay.
Sounds fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say my internet's working fine. Okay, we are. Oh, now it says we are live. We are officially live. It didn't run the intro, it just kicked us live. It says we're live anyway.
What a treat for everyone listening.
I was going to say, what a rare treat for everyone listening. The intro didn't run on this particular one. I don't know why. That was very strange. But either way, welcome to Partnerships for Profit, presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Today, we are joined by Kevin Daisey, who is the founder and chief marketing officer of Array Digital. Kevin, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. Appreciate you having me here. And
yeah, I apologize about that bungled intro. I don't know what happened there. Well, I was going to say, let me assure you, it was a beautiful intro, one of the best. Kevin, can we start off a little bit? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Array Digital?
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah, we don't need no intro. It's all good.
Right. Yeah.
Still got to bring the heat. My name is Kevin Daisey, and I've owned agencies for many years since I was 23 and started back in 2006. And Array Digital, we focused on helping law firms with digital marketing, SEO, content, websites, but really just focused on reputation, conversion, and helping our clients win their market. So personal injury, criminal, family law. Have 3 agencies technically with 50 plus employees, and my own podcast called the Managing Partners Podcast, which is a legal entrepreneurship podcast. And just love all things, marketing and law firms. So live it and breathe it.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about when people come to Array Digital, what are some of the pain points and problems that they're experiencing in their businesses that you're helping them solve?
Yeah, I mean, we help, some smaller startup firms all the way to some of the largest firms in the country. So it can vary. But, a lot of the problems that I do see, organization, right? So disconnect with where their assets may be. So whether it's their Google business profiles or their websites and the content, and they usually lack a good strategy to kind of like, how's it all fit together, right? And so with a law firm, you might piecemeal things and you have different folks helping with different things like that. So we try to bring sanity and strategy with data to the table, and then make sure, hopefully, that they're connected up with the right other partners that can do other things like LeDuc, video, podcast, customer client journey. So, we try to bring those things together, identify other areas that they need to work on, help them, root themselves in their brand and in their community, and leverage that from a digital standpoint to make sure that they appeal to the right clients, that we're targeting the right potential clients for them, and that when they come to the website, right, that comes through. So, and again, they increase their position in their market and get more clients. So,
what are some of the biggest digital marketing challenges that law firms are facing today?
Well, in digital, specifically to like what I do, Google Ads, SEO, if it's the competitors. There's some big, huge firms coming into a lot of markets. And so I think one of the challenges that they face, or think they face in some degree, is that they just can't play with the big boys.
Right.
And so they might turn to other things and try other channels. But so I think one's just straight budget and cost to get some of these leads. in those traditional channels. The other, I think, is intake. And even if you do get a lead, that it's taken care of, it's followed up on, and it's taken through the process to where they can become a referral source. So I just see a lot of issues with, hey, I need more leads, but then what happens from there? How's that person getting taken care of? How they being spoken to? Is the call answered? Are they followed up with? So, more leads is not always a problem, although a lot of people listening might go, well, I just need more leads. But you kind of got to look at the whole picture. And so that's a lot for a law firm or an owner to fix all those things and to get all that stuff working. And when you're small, it may not be something you can do out the gate. But so I see a lot of problems with that.
What inspired you to get into the digital marketing space? Didn't you begin sort of in an engineering space, or hey, you have an engineering background? Is that correct?
Yeah, I went to school to I thought I wanted to be an architect. I ended up falling into civil engineering, and I did websites at night for fun, and all the way back to 6th grade, back when websites were like a brand new thing. So I just I didn't really think of it as a career. So I did it for fun. And then one day at my corporate job, on the side, I made as much as my paycheck was for the month. And I met a bunch of entrepreneurs, and I didn't know what that word was. Entrepreneur, what the hell is that? And so I just saw these other people like doing their own thing. And I worked at this corporate kind of engineering firm, and it was just like a trigger. Bam. Like, I'm out, I'm done. 6 months, I was out the door and started my own agency. So I've been self-employed since I was 23.
Wow.
And I'm 43 almost.
So in those almost 20 years, right, of doing this and in the digital marketing space, what sort of trends have you seen in that time come and go? What trends in digital marketing have you seen come and go? And I guess furthermore, what trends do you see coming in the future?
For sure. So,
I know that's a loaded
again,
question.
I try to, I'll try to apply it to kind of what we do a little bit. SEO has been around for 20 years almost. And so trends were, tricking Google, right? Keywords and adding links and just tons of copy and all that stuff. New trend is the opposite. You don't trick Google. It's got to be helpful content, human written if possible. Again, helpful. Who's the client on the other end? Is it helpful? Does it answer their questions? And do they want to take the next step to connect with you, right? And so helpful also means, is it not just written, but there's video and there's other ways to consume that content to get your answer to question. So one, there's no tricking Google. Now it's legitimate authenticity, real helpful stuff. That's how you win these days. There's no tricks. So that's where it's flipped. The other thing that trends as far as right now, obviously, I talk about video a lot, even though it's not something we do. Call the Duke Entertainment for that. But there's so many positive things to it. It's not just SEO. Google likes it, right? So the written word, you have a video version. Now you have YouTube as a search engine, right? So you can search for those answers. Google shows video up in other search areas of their pages. And then the conversion tactic of it is relatable. They get to meet the person. They get to see and hear you as a real person. And that helps them make the decision if they're going to hire you again, if it's the service company or a lawyer. So there's so many benefits to video that aren't being leveraged right now by most firms. And not to mention the short form and the raw content and stuff like that. But, I just think that's under leveraged by most law firms. If law firms are listening. So
now this might kind of be an out there question, but I'm curious. Did you see any change in the digital marketing space as a result of COVID? Did COVID have any impact? Are things different, than they were pre-COVID in any space or any form?
That's a good question. Obviously it comes down to Google Business Profile. It's a massive part of any business with a physical presence, like a law firm. So obviously there were some updates to that, and is related to like in office, or what's the access to the office, and is it clean, all that stuff like that. So that made some changes, and Google made a bunch of changes to that kind of stuff. I have, obviously law firms, again, speaking specific to them, most of them were not, doing Zoom calls. They weren't up to speed on technology.
Right.
I feel like, it's a big advantage because now we're all remote, or I'm in my office today. I'll be at my house probably the rest of the week. It doesn't matter. I have a setup like this at all the places I go. I can record, I can make video content, I can do podcasting. So I think it's made it a lot easier and more natural, and access to be able to produce video, produce podcasts, to talk with clients across town. And so for me, it's, the boundaries of, hey, well, if you're not 5 minutes away, I'm not hiring you. That's really expanded out to be even statewide in some cases. So, so I think I see a lot of benefits, to that.
Yeah.
And then of course, staff, employees, overhead, having a badass building that's on the corner versus who cares if you have an office at all.
Right.
So there's a lot of advantages right now.
Yeah.
For firms to be more tech heavy.
And I've got another one of those loaded questions for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, great.
I know, right? But,
let me pour a drink real quick.
Exactly. But I'm curious, because I mean, right now, the topic of conversation in this sort of space right now, and in the digital space, everything right now is AI. What impact do you think AI is going to have in the digital marketing space? Or what impact is already starting to have?
Already, yeah. So a huge impact. And I guess I'll cover two different things there. One, like I've been at a bunch of conferences. I was just at the National Trial Lawyers Summit and talking to a lot of lawyers and lawyer friends and guests on my podcast. And for the most part, it's like overwhelmed by AI. All the booths and all the companies are like AI this, AI that. So from the lawyers I talk to, they're like, Jesus, like I'm tired of hearing about it. Everyone's got some new product. So I can see a little bit of overwhelm with all this stuff.
Right.
And now it's like, if you look on your phone, you got 100 different apps. You got your favorites on the home screen, and then 80 of them you never use barely. So I can see it becoming more like, hey, I have all these tools, and then some are just gonna kind of fade away, and they won't be as useful. And then there's just this overwhelm of new tools that you can use. So I think I can start to see like a little bit of pullback as far as like using everything under the sun, but you need to be learning AI. You need to leverage AI across everything you're doing, or you're going to be behind. Right. And the advantages of it is you can scale things, like taking this podcast clip and making a ton of reels and clips and stuff like that. Absolutely. Like hire someone to do it, or get Opus Clip or some other tools to make a crap for you.
Right.
You can scale now your content and your marketing. And so the people that are doing that are going to have an advantage, of course. And it's only going to get more powerful. But I think if you can stay authentic and as raw and as real as possible, versus like using like, avatars and like, making fake content, and leveraging it to get your message out in front of as many people as possible that, your market. Right. And that's a winning combination. I think you'd have no reason right now to say, we can't get eyeballs out there. We can't get on social media. We can't post. We don't know how. We don't have time. We don't have the bandwidth or the people. Like, the excuses kind of have to go out the window at this point with that.
Well, and when you're working with a firm, when you're working with a law firm and you're building out their digital marketing strategy, is it a sort of one size fits all approach that you're using, or do you kind of have to custom tailor your strategy to the individual firm?
Good question. Yeah, everything we do is custom tailored to that. Obviously, there's like a tactic, that you can say we're going to do this tactic, but the strategy behind everything should have a strategy. So even if we're writing a blog post, for what's the statute of limitations in, Mississippi. I don't know, whatever. That has a strategy. Why we should write it? Should we write it? What's the competition for it? What's the other law firms? How do they write that same piece? What will it gain, or what's the point, right? What's the data? How many people are searching for that? And how long should it be? Are we going to have a video for it? What's the script for it? So it's every single thing has to have a strategy, and it's custom, not just to the law firm, but to every action that we take. That's the only way you're going to be able to compete versus a one size fits all, where you're not considering any of that stuff. Like how am I going to go up against Morgan & Morgan or some big firm that's spending $100,000 a month when I have $2,000 a month?
Right.
You got to find the holes, and you got to find where you can fit in and get a little bit of the market share, right? So without the strategy, that's just like if you make a video, right? Like, what's your audience? What kind of client do you want? Are you in divorce and you want high end, or do you want, low end and quantity? So it definitely comes down to strategy and really digging deep, I think, to understand your brand as well.
Well, and I'm curious, when you go in and you do kind of, build out these strategies, is there one tool or one sort of aspect that you see as being more effective than others? Like, what I mean by that is, do you see more engagement, say through a blog post versus an Instagram reel versus, or do all those things sort of have to collectively work in tandem?
Yeah, I mean, my honest opinion is they all work in tandem. I mean, and you're going to get people at different places and different, meet them where they're at. So when I say, like, I tell people, like, SEO, like, I use the word SEO a lot, but SEO is like not a service I just provide, right? It might say that I provide it, but there's only pieces that we do. SEO is everything. So it's, if you're mentioned, like we're live right now, right? If I do a LinkedIn article, a Facebook post, anything that can be publicly scraped or seen or mentioned online, that is SEO, and that is your reputation. That's connected back. So if you are like an SEO company, we might just be one, 2 or 3 pieces of that. And there's so much more that the law firm can be doing, or Lil Duke's doing, or any other vendors doing for you. But it all should tie together. And so, if I saw Instagram posts and I became aware of you, and then maybe I search later and I find an answer to a question, and I find a blog, and then I go, wait a minute, that firm sounds familiar. And you're kind of building that trust and that brand around it. So, and what you want to do is go, I don't care which of them performs at that time. Right. Are we tracking it? Are we looking at what we're putting out? And is this still the right direction and strategy we want to go? Is that blog not converting when they get there? If so, why not? And how are they interacting with other things? So, to me, it all connects. And, again, knowing your brand, your ideal client, and putting that out in front of everything. Like, make sure you're focused on that no matter what you do.
And when you're building out these strategies, I'm curious, when you're building this all out, all of these different sort of, posts or reels or blog posts, are they all sort of, or is the call to action on all of those the same? Are they all funneling to one place, or how does that kind of work, I guess?
Yeah, well, we don't do like social media posting and stuff like that, but
sure.
I think, no, it depends. I mean, it depends on what stage they're in. So let's just say you did, a targeted ad on Facebook, Instagram, right? So you just live in the area, and you might have a car, and you might be in an accident, but we don't know. So it's just a targeting, like a brand awareness campaign. If they interact with that, so that one's going to be like, hey, just check out my ad and watch it. I don't care.
Right.
If they engage with it, then you put them into another campaign that's like, hey, they engaged. Now let's get them more exposed, or maybe get them to sign up for, download a downloadable, or let's get their email somehow, right? And then if they interact with that, then you can go to the next step and say, hey, set up a consultation or whatever. So it depends on what kind of law you're in this
Right.
case, or what services you have. If it's like an organic, it should be, in my mind, unless it's a story, all organic post should be free information. Hey, this is Kevin. Here's what this means. Here's what you need to do. Free. In your stories, you can sell. Hey, if you've been in an accident, call me, here. But you don't want your wall, your Instagram wall or your Facebook wall to be just nothing but sales material.
Right.
Free information all day long. Give it all away. Use your stories, which disappear, to be a little bit more of a sales pitch.
So it's that value added content that you're giving them.
Yeah, that's what a blog is. Hey, here, you want the answer to here's the question. I find the blog, it answers it. I love the answer. There's a video as well. Then I've given them something.
Right.
And maybe I've built some affinity, I've built some trust with that brand. And they might not be ready to be a client at that point. Oh, that's the answer to the question. And they go on their way. But that's what you're trying to do, is just provide free, helpful content and information. And that's what Google and that's what Instagram and YouTube, they want their users to get that exposure. Right. And then you can sell them and put ads in front of them and stuff like that after the fact.
Well, and why do you think it is that people today, now more so than probably ever, are interested in not just the product that they're purchasing or the service that they're purchasing, but they want to know more so than ever who they're purchasing from? Do you think that that's just a result of social media, or, I mean, how do you leverage that? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I think social media has a lot to do with it. And then even COVID and being behind a screen, but the consumer has all the power now. Back in the day, the brands had the power. Hey, here's what you're going to buy. Here's the best thing you're going to, and they put it out there. And now the consumer has all the power. They can leave a bad review. You can get on Twitter or X and complain about something. I was on an airline one time where it got canceled or rebooked, and I just went on Twitter at the time and got my whole flight rebooked, with no challenge at all, because bad press is not worth it, right? So, so now you have access. You can go to Google. You can read reviews. You can go on what's the neighborhood app?
What is that called? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't use it. My wife does. Anyway, you can go on there and be like, hey, who do you recommend? And be like, don't use this guy. And then, use this guy and whatever, if it's like home services. So it's just access to information instantaneously. And you can get good or bad. So your reputation now is, if it's bad, it's going to be real bad everywhere. So
what are some,
we got to be in check now,
What are some of the common mistakes that you see law firms making when it comes to their digital marketing?
Biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes is no education themselves. So thinking that they can hire an agency or a freelancer, whoever, and go, here you go, make it happen. And that this is not going to work. There needs to be, both sides are in on this. The owners or whoever's in charge needs to have some education on what this is and what they're paying for and why it matters, how they can help influence it, what they can do on their side to make it all work better. And then to have communication on, hey, what leads are good, what leads are bad, how do we tweak in this, and versus, did you sell any of the leads we sent you, or maybe intake flopped and dropped the ball. And so it's just got to be a little bit more responsibility with the law firm itself, and the agency is not just going to be able to like take care of it and you don't ever talk to them. So be involved, learn it. You don't have to do it, you don't have to learn too much, but there has to be some connection there.
Can you share with us, when you think back on all of the law firms that you've helped with digital marketing, can you share with us a story of either a client or a firm that you really saw a positive transformation or growth in as a result of your help?
Of course, for sure. One of One of the coolest stories I have, I think, is at a solo attorney that moved to a new area, and she had a co-working space that was just a little teeny off right before COVID. So right before COVID, went and met at her small place, just her, and just did our thing. Started small, added on some organic, started building content, started doing Google ads, and really just took her from that to 3 states, 4 offices, and just watch them grow to 20, 30 attorneys in divorce. So, but with that, it was not just that. They were also part of some mastermind programs, and they were knowing their numbers and working on process. And it's not just leads that can lead to all that, right? It's running the firm properly, managing it, knowing your numbers and finances, and as you grow, taking care of those next problems. And so when you have that kind of perfect combination, then it becomes pretty cool and fun and say, hey, where's the next office? Because now we have a blueprint to say, hey, let's open office 5. Let's do analysis on the area. Where should the office be located? Because that matters from online leads. Like if you're next to all the other law firms, you're just competing completely. So versus, hey, the consumers that are hiring you probably live in more rural or neighborhood areas. Like, so let's find office space there. So you can kind of get creative. You can use data, and you can make good decisions versus, I like this office, so let's just get that one.
Right.
You should make a smarter decision on, hey, how can I win in a competitive market, and choose an office that's going to give me a leg up.
Absolutely. And if there was, a firm owner out there that is interested in getting started and pushing forward with their digital marketing and really taking it to the next level, what would be your one piece of advice that you could give them?
That's a good one.
The best piece of advice. Again, another one of those loaded questions.
Get a bunch of money in a bag and bring it to me. Well, I think you have to be, depending on where you're at. So if you're doing well, you built a good referral business, you have a good reputation. Those are just foundational things, key things that every lawyer I've ever met, it's like, we do good work and they do a good job. And that's awesome. They need to do that because they're helping people. I think if you're like, what, it's time. And I talk to lawyers like this all the time. Like, we got a lot of referrals. I've never done digital, never gone online. I've never tried to build up a lead source.
Right.
And now they're ready to invest in that. I would say, just think about what kind of clients you have or want. And that might depend on and then how fast do I want to scale this? If you need calls tomorrow, you're going to look at advertising,
right?
Google ads, LSA ads, those things. If you're looking for like, hey, I'm good and I want to maintain the level of client that I have, and I want to control that, then you want to go more organic, social media, content, SEO, video, and grow that long term. It won't be an instant lead, right? But you're building up the way you want it, and it's focused more on reputation and again, SEO again is everything. So it's putting out content and things like that. So I think figure out, do I need my phone ringing tomorrow because I'm in a situation or I want to scale quickly, or do I want kind of more long-term sustainable growth with a strategy behind it?
Right.
Well, Kevin, and then budget,
exactly. Well, Kevin, this has been an absolutely great, fantastic, super informative conversation. If anybody out there listening could use your help or could use the help of Array Digital or would like to listen to your podcast, where can the people find you?
Well, arraydigital.com if you want to find our services in my company. But and my podcast is linked on that website. You can just Google the Managing Partners podcast, or you can find me on LinkedIn. So Kevin Daisey, and that's Daisey. And on there, I post every day and tons of content, and would love to connect with you there. So
awesome. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Adrian, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And
Been a
thank you.
blast. No, easy questions.
Yeah, there you go. Right. I was going to say, hopefully our outro works better than our intro did.
We'll see.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. This has been Partnerships for Profit presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Kevin, thank you so much again.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.